Alrighty guys, so game number 1. This time we have ZEST is no longer parting. I'm actually surprised. Okay, so ZEST is going to essentially, I think, bring a different flavor than parting. Parting is one of those kind of crazy players we think of like SOS. I think kind of even like in the vein of Rogue, just how sometimes you get these like crazy aggressive like cheesy games sometimes. Or like a Haas, or Has, however you want to pronounce it. We do actually see ZEST getting ready to take an expansion. He was across and denying the natural, making that DRG take the third base, which is, you know, pretty standard at this point. I feel like most Protoss do that. It's kind of like as a Terran, you just expect a probe to try to mess with your bunker or your barracks and your CC. I think that's one of the big things about like Protoss is they're able just to like delay your attack, and they're able to just kind of like throw you off just that much. Now, ZEST is going to be throwing down the pylon and essentially, I think, hiding some tech over here. Now, with a map like Jagannatha, obviously it's a very long rush distance. They have the accelerator zones in the middle. And one thing we see from Zergs is they just send across an Overlord, right? They're not sending across a drone like a Terran or a Protoss will. They just send across the Overlord for some scouting. Now, because of the long distance, that does take a little bit. We will eventually see DRG kind of coming back. He doesn't want to overextend, and knowing that the Cybernetics core is done, the potential for a Stalker is there, but also he's just going to bring it down here. He's not essentially looking to see if it's a Stargate tech coming through, but most likely you can kind of guess he's probably going into that. So we actually see the Stargate for ZEST being hidden over here, and I think eventually DRG just kind of sees it coming across. The big key is going to be, how does ZEST want to play this out? So he's going to open up into an Oracle. Is he going to go into 3 Oracles and then like transition from there? Is he going to go Oracle, Void Ray, and then go into, you know, just something crazy like, I don't know, Phoenix or something? It really feels like the Stargate meta has really kind of hit this threshold, right? It's like, okay, he is going to actually see this. That's kind of good. Where Protoss are now trying to get creative, I think, with the Stargate tech. It used to be, for a while there, we saw just straight up Void Rays just go up and get into eventually just carriers with a mothership. It felt like essentially Zerg were struggling with it. They were able to figure it out, and now they just have the answer, right? It's kind of like most strategies. It seems very overpowered at first, but then it's like, okay, I know how to defend that. It's not too bad now. We do have the Oracles coming into the natural. The Queens are there, and we will see him be able to get at least 2 drone kills. Couple of lings, nothing too crazy, and we'll be able to get moved out. Behind this, we do see a 3rd base being taken and some adepts starting to come across. This actually looks like it could do some damage. 5 adepts looking to shade in potentially to the natural, maybe go up into the main actually. And here come the Oracles, essentially trying to force the drones into a weird situation, right? Keeping away from the Queens is essential here. Lynx he can kind of deal with, but right now it is all about them drones. You know, if Megan Trainor was a Protoss player, it would be all about them drones. About them drones. No Queens or something, I don't know. But we'll go ahead and get into it, as we do see finally ZEST is going to go ahead and back off. He doesn't want to overextend at this point. And seeing that there is a high Queen count, that the Lings are there, he does not want to just throw away those Adepts. The biggest thing that Protoss are losing to, or can't lose to, is just throwing away those units and then not having anything at home to counterattack. We do have one Ling scouting out the 3rd base here, though, for DRG. And we'll at least see Zest going into Blink and +1, so very standard-esque Zest. Likes his Blink play, likes to get up to those gateways, eventually go into like Colossus Disruptor tech as well. We'll see if he can make it up there, though. We do see on the DRG side, though, going once again into this +1 speed roach timing. I think overall it's very strong, but it just seems like something DRG does a lot here. And I mean, it is a good answer to, like, I guess the gateway style or Stargate style, right? Because you just want to keep the aggression on. Usually they don't have a whole lot of defense when they're going heavy into the into that Stargate like mass void ray style, but that's not what we're seeing here. Alright, so the Oracle's still flying around, Lings again trying to find some kind of, you know, damage or just see if there's anything being taken here. Eventually going to use those Lings for a counterattack as the Oracles come in once again, picking off another few drones, getting the Revelate off and keeping tabs on what is coming out. You know, is he droning up? Is he going to be going into some kind of damage? What is coming out of those eggs? And behind this, we do see +2 on the way, a Warp Prism coming out, and now we see DRG essentially going for an attack here, right? I think he just goes up and attacks, but this is a pretty strong army coming out here from Zest. Don't know how much, though, considering DRG's at 70, but we have seen where DRG is ahead, like, army supply-wise, but just get totally decimated, so we'll see. Sentry is going to play an important role here in kind of separating and basically letting Zest kind of chunk this out, right? But here we go. Queen's going to be coming up from the bottom. Some good force fields will at least separate the roaches and stuff. Couple of corrosive bottles will not make their connections, and eventually we will see those the force fields go down. Now Zest is on a pretty good side of the ramp. The thing about DRG's, so it's like this. Okay, so these Ravagers will do some okay damage against very clumped up units, right? If they make the connections. The Bailings being added into this does add a nice little flavor, but with the sentries being able to separate that and kind of force into these situations where the army for DRG not going to be utilized too much. We do see a nice little kind of play there with the Oracles at the same time. Bailing's going to be morphed in, as it looks like we are going to see Zest essentially get attacked onto the third base, taking his own fourth base and actually transitioning into DTs. Does use some Archons though, so I guess there's that. Infestation Pit coming down for DRG, and this will allow him to go up to Hive Tech, eventually go into like +3 if he decides to do that, as well as if he needs to, he can go into like Corruptor Broodlords or something. I guess it does kind of open up for, I mean, just Infestors in general. Kind of keep tabs on the Zest army here. Good force fields do end up coming out, as we do see finally Zest linking forward, just trying to pick off whatever units he can, takes care of the Bailings. Seems pretty easily there. More Archons coming through. Definitely feels like DRG needs to do something here, as slowly but surely Zest just evening up in supply. He is actually ahead in army supply. And that's a Zerg, you never really want that to happen. He's going to send across the Warp Prism with a couple of Archons and essentially just trying to get more and more drone damage. So we'll see. Bailing's going to be made. +1 now done for those Lings with the armor. So that does make it a little bit trouble. A nice little counterattack coming out here from DRG onto the third base. Overcharge is active though with the cannon. Oh my god, did he not lose a single probe here? Holy cow. And is DRG gonna have to back himself up? Zest just feels unstoppable right now. He's gonna go down here towards the fourth base, looking to eventually just kind of shut down this mining base. At the same time, he does have the Archons going into the main base, and another run by going down onto that 5th base location. Does get the 4th base. 20 drones have fallen, and DRG in a loss. Does not know where to attack. He goes down here. A couple of his own corrosive biles land on the Bailings, blinking back, using those zealots and the force fields here from ZEST. And able to hold that off. Now he could potentially just recall if he wants to. A nice little warp in of some zealots. Already the Queens, though, in position for the warp prism. Eventually he loses the warp prism and an Archon. Now starting to join his forces over here towards this 5th base location. ZEST just attacking everywhere, but DRG trying to get on top of it. The force fields are no more. The shield's going to be going down. And there we go. Finally, the Roaches going to get on top of the remainder of the Stalkers. The Bailings just trying to find something to connect with. They just want somebody to love, and will end up going down. Now, Ultralisk Cavern is on the way here for DRG as he's up to that Hive Tech. He's got more Roaches coming through. He's got Adrenaline Glands coming through, +2. And DRG looking to go to the final phase of his match. As ZEST now just kind of backing up. He's getting more Archons, he's getting Immortals, he's adding on more of these gateways to essentially just make more stuff. He's got that 4th base that's been mining for a while, adding on shield batteries, and even has +3 on the way. So really just trying to tech up, get himself in a better position here. But DRG, even after losing the bases, still manages to hold on here. He's retaking that 4th base location. And now, I mean, really, ZEST just has to somehow counter these, the Ravagers. Has to somehow do it. We see the Oracle just playing in the accelerator zone, not giving a care in the world, and that's going to come in handy with some, some Revelates and keeping tabs of the army. You have some DTs coming across and just being scouts at this point. That's insane. And yeah, right now ZEST just cannot attack anywhere with the Warp Prism. Just too many defenses, and now we also see the creep here from DRG just slowly starting to push across. Oracle will help out, or excuse me, the Observer will help out with the Stalkers to kind of clear that up. But here comes this big attack now here from DRG, gonna get the 5th base. Will force a blink back. 6 drones have been taken care of as the Archons attack down here in the bottom. DT's looking to get some damage done, but now ZEST sees the Ultras. He can't take a 5th base at all. There we go. Bailings end up getting canceled. Lings will end up getting cleaned up as that 5th base finally does go down, but 9 drones altogether have gone down. And really, it's forcing DRG to have to make more and more of the drones instead of getting that larva used to army. He is maxed out though, so DRG could potentially just go across and attack. He's only got a handful of these Ultras. He's only got 2, with 3 more being made at the moment. +3 weapons though for ZEST is about done. And yeah, man, this is just insane. Nice little warp in. Gonna see another cancel of this Nexus. And this is exactly what DRG needs at the moment. He needs to continue to cancel this 5th base. He needs to make sure that no more additional mining is taken, but with the essentially what, 7 now? 5 plus, okay, so 5. I don't know how to do math. Yeah, Ling's not going to do much, no roaches, but this is just adding more supply for him to be able to transition into essentially kind of like a Ling Bane Ultra style. ZEST moving down towards the bottom. Looks like he wants to deny this 4th base location once again. DRG is going to see this. He's going to start sending across the Ravagers. He's going to start sending the Bailings in here. The Ultras going to be getting on top of this. Finally, we will see that shield battery go down. But the DTs, oh, blocking out the Ultra. 17 probes do go down, but more and more drones are starting to fall. The Ultras trying to come in here, but those Zealots, man, not doing good. Or they are doing good. They're just eliminating everything. And DRG falling now at 120 supply. GG's. As ZEST just overpowers him. Alrighty, guys. Without further ado, spotting in the bottom right in the red. Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up. It is ZEST. And in the top left, in the blue, the Zerg player from Team Envy, it is DRG. Alrighty, so as we get into game number 2, we got to take a look at the previous game. DRG did some interesting stuff, right? He was denying mining constantly from the 5th base. He was attacking into the 3rd base. Didn't really get a whole lot done a few times. Like the overcharge from the shield battery and the cannon was just able to kind of deter most of the attacks there. He did a good job of counterattacking while being attacked, but ZEST just, his engagements were so much better. Everything with the shields coming down to, or force fields, however you want to look at it, to just not overextending with his adepts or the oracles, and just slowly methodically just eliminating DRG's economy. DRG did make more drones and stuff, so it wasn't ever a situation where it was oh, he's only got 10 drones. But it's one of those things where it was man, he just forced so much larva production into drones that even though DRG did get maxed out, it felt like he was always kind of a step behind from ZEST. So as we look into game number 2, we'll see what ZEST ends up doing. Now, DRG does have his expansion coming out, and this time we do see, pretty kind of standard from DRG. It seems like he has been favoring that roach style lately. So we'll see kind of where he wants to go. Does he want to go back into that roach? Because he is very good with the roach ravager style, and then slowly transition into the ultras. But we'll see. I mean, against a player like ZEST who goes very heavy into stalkers a lot of the times, Stalker Immortal Archon is kind of his thing. I don't know. So Stargate on the way for ZEST. You see that probe returning back home. And essentially we just kind of see where DRG wants to play this. I mean, he does have the Lings on the way. Or excuse me, speed. So eventually he will be able to utilize at least those for scouting potential, kind of see, is there something coming across? He doesn't know about the Stargate, which you can kind of just assume, right? So it is going to be an Oracle opening once again. I'd be interested to see if he goes into that Adept style. It seems like it has the potential to just kind of spiral out of control if the Zerg does not respond to it properly. I'm just going to take a 3rd base. So we see DRG. I think he ends up going essentially into a faster layer. Right, especially if you're going into kind of that roach speed timing that he likes to do. Here we go. Ling's going to be making their way across. I don't think he actually saw it, though. Oh, no, he did. Okay, he's got the spores coming down. Oracle going to be flying into the main base, into the 3rd base location, or natural. We'll be able to at least pick off a couple of drones here. Not bad, and gets out at least somewhat damaged. 3rd base on the way now for ZEST, and this is something that we see from him a lot, is even just during these attacks, he knows DRG going to have to essentially kind of play defensive here. So he's okay, I'll just take my 3rd base, get a little bit more ahead, and then do kind of a follow-up attack behind this. We do actually see the speed now done. Then he's going to return back home. And it is going to be more adept. So again, the same kind of build from the previous game. And we'll see. DRG now going into a roach war, and he really doesn't have anything across the map here. He's got a handful of Lings and a couple of queens. Spore Crawler is going to come in here. Nice stasis ward will go down. Does get taken out though. And these adepts eventually will just shade out. The 3 oracles and the adepts still just only getting 2 damage. So a very good job here from DRG of actually holding this off. A lot of these oracles are starting to get low in health, so there is that capability. Now we do see the Lings going across for a counterattack. Again, ZEST going to essentially kind of get shoot out here. He does end up losing the queen though. Going up to the lair. Does have the Roach Horn still down and going to go into Roach Speed potentially. Able to clear off a couple of Adepts, and DRG eventually will go ahead and move back. 9 Roaches on the way. And those Oracles just going to fly back home. Now behind this, we do see the Twilight Council coming down for ZEST. He's got Blink on the way, +1, so it is very much the same build as last game. And it really is the same build coming out here from DRG, so we'll see, can DRG somehow take maybe a better engagement? He is going to attack a little bit earlier. He's sending across the Queens, he's sending across Roaches, he's sending across everything. He's like, I've got to attack now. He comes in with the Ling and is able to essentially scout everything going on here. The Oracles now see this coming, and he knows this is the time to attack. The Ravager's going to come in here before the shields can really get up. Crosabile is going to land onto the cannon, but with the overcharge coming in, we'll eventually push this back. Now the Queen's going to be able to focus down onto the Oracle Zealots. Going to try to get on top of this as well, but with the Lings, with the Ravagers, and the Queens, it looks like DRG wants to push into this. He needs to shut it down if ZEST wants to survive. Now, there is only 2 sentries. He's going to get a couple of force fields down to separate this out, but here come the Lings now trying to get a wraparound onto the army here of ZEST, but ZEST with the overcharge not available. He still has a couple of shields. A nice wraparound onto the army units here of ZEST. Of course, the ball is going to land onto the pylon, shutting down any more shield batteries from forming. The Queen's coming in here, the Ravagers just eliminating whatever they can. The pylons, GG's, and DRG takes game number 2. All right, spawning up here in the top right. That's the Red Protoss from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is ZEST. Go in the bottom left in the blue from Team NV. It is DRG. So this series really has been kind of the same builds, but it's interesting, right? A lot of times we think of, okay, he's doing the same build, he's going to follow the same attack pattern, but when we see the players recognize, okay, this is my timing, this is when I need to go, is when we actually start seeing these players just react in some awesome ways. Now, Oxide is one of those maps that has the ramps that go up into the bases, so it's not going to be the same thing as, say, the last map where, yeah, there's like a ramp, but there's a lot of open space right before the base. And really, he just had to attack the third. Spotting post coming down again. We see ZEST is trying to be annoying with the probe. We see that third base coming down. And one thing to note is ZEST is definitely a player that loves that blink play. This is a map that's pretty good, right? We've got this open space for essentially just blinking in. Will we see some kind of aggression like that coming in through from ZEST? DRG, maybe it could go into mutas in this game. I know Stalkers are kind of good, so maybe against a player like ZEST you don't do that, but I don't know. I think DRG may have to change it up a little bit, though. I guess the counterattack potential is there, though, with opening up into that roach count. But we'll see. So, alrighty, so Natural is almost done now here for ZEST. He's going to be going into the Adepts, and once again, we will see that Stargate play coming out from ZEST. Now, is it going to be that same kind of 3 Oracle Adept pressure towards, like, essentially the third? I don't know. I mean, it has been getting damage done, but I guess now ZEST sees the counterattack potential. Maybe he still does it. It's definitely something that he's confident with, for sure. And again, this is kind of a smaller ramp, so I don't think the counterattack's going to be there. Maybe if somehow DRG is able to scout and see the transition coming, maybe he does a little bit better. But it's going to be a Void Ray, actually, with the Adept. So potentially it's going to add on a second Stargate here. And just kind of go into that mass Void Ray style, right? There we go. So DRG coming back home now with his overlords. Let's send out the Lings across just to essentially get out of scout, kind of keep track on where the army movements from ZEST are. Essentially, you know, seeing is there some kind of Stargate coming out, which is kind of obvious at this point, but yeah. Just making sure he does not miss a beat. It's going to be a Void Ray and an Adept. Behind this, it's going to be the Oracle, so I guess more of a, not necessarily standard play, but it is considered more standard now. At the moment, anyways. Eva Chambers going to be coming down for DRG, and no Roach Warren to be seen at the moment. I almost wonder if he needs to go either heavier into Queens or go up maybe to the Hydra. I guess that's kind of where you're wanting to go. So Oracle's going to be coming in for ZEST, kind of giving this illusion of, hey, I'm going Oracles again. Watch out for my second one. But it is going to be that second Stargate coming out. We've got the third base coming out for ZEST, and behind this, I mean, just drones right now. Really don't want to do that, do you? I mean, I guess for the moment it's going to be okay. Oh, he's going to go up to a fleet beacon. Are we going to get like 5.5 minute carriers? Is that what we're planning here? Jeez. Bailey, that's coming down. And I mean, really, how many queens does he have? DRG's got 5 queens. 5 queens is not going to be able to just take care of all of the Void Ray and carrier potential here. Lings trying to clear up some pathways. Creep getting spread, and God, I mean, it's good he's taking a 4th base that will allow him some more production, but with 2 carriers coming out at 5.5 minutes, this could spiral downhill quickly. This has some Lings though, looking to go for a little bit of a bailing dust over here, but once he sees the Stargate tech, it's just going to be what do you do here? Because he's going very heavy into Ling Bane. And he has no scouting. Like, he has no idea what's going on. I think that's been the biggest downfall here for DRG. It's just the scouting. Like, obviously last game he was able to get in, get some damage done, but you got to be thinking, okay, something's up here. And once he sees the carriers coming through, oh man. +1 ship weapons being upgraded. Here we go. Bailing's looking to move in, trying to get some kind of connection onto the probes, but end up just basically throwing them into whatever. 10, 12 probes do go down. He is now going to see that there is those carriers. 22 probes, though, do end up getting taken down, and he does get the 3rd base. So not bad from DRG, all things considered, and he still walks out with a handful of Lings. Backs up. Now, this does kind of hinder ZEST a little bit, right? Carriers are not that fast. And if DRG can somehow attack into essentially like the natural and just kind of force ZEST at home instead of coming across, there is that potential there, but now we see more queens coming out here from DRG. I think eventually he's got the lair finishing up. This will allow him to go, I guess, into Corruptors or Mutants, depending on how he wants to play it out. I think Corruptors may be the better option here, actually. And yeah, I mean, he's just going to continue to try to attack in. He just sees how many of these carriers. He's got, what, 4 carriers now? Going in. He's going to start trying to shut this down. If he can get the +1 upgrade, that could be huge as well. And here come those carriers and the Void Ray. There's nothing at home. He's going to have to return back home, but there's quite a few queens here. Spore Crawlers are going to come out and help with this. The queen to infuse is pretty good, and DRG holds this off. Now, this is buying time for him to be able to get that Spire up to eventually just kind of get into that Corruptor tech. And yeah, I mean, it looks like now we're going to go into the Void Race. He's got that Prismatic, I think it's Prismatic Alignment upgrade coming through. And yeah, ZEST just slowly starting to push towards this 3rd base, into the main base, essentially. There are a few queens here, but the overcharges coming out from ZEST could be potentially deadly here. There we go. additional queens coming to join into this. How many queens is this? Like 13? 15? And now Corruptors on the way. 8 Corruptors are getting ready to spawn. He still has those Lings across the map. And yeah, I think essentially he could take care of the third base. He's got to be careful though. Obviously, the Queens kind of have to go back and forth now. He does have 14 Corruptors getting ready to spawn out, so I think that does kind of just shut this down. Sees more of the same coming out here, and now the Corruptors need to join forces and essentially attack this as one unit. God, how do you defend this? I mean, he's at like 12 at the moment, 11. He's got more Corruptors on the way, and I think that's just kind of what you have to do in this situation. Just keep the Corruptor count up, keep getting the Queens out, and just continue to attack this. But ZEST, man, playing hardcore. Another base being taken down at the bottom. As just more and more of these Void Rays coming through. So as the Lings, I guess he could potentially just get in and try to get some damage done, but does not want to lose if he does not have to. +1 on the way for DRG for those air units, and ZEST has +1 already. He's adding on another gate or Stargate, adding on more pylons and really starting to build up. Even killing off some of his own supply to be able to get a probe out. It's insane. 6 more Corruptors, +2 and a +1 on the way. And now so many Void Rays. Void Rays. He's got 10 Void Rays and 4 carriers. Oh man. I think this is going to be the biggest thing right now. ZEST is only on 2 bases. He is eventually going to run out of minerals. Like, we look, he's only on 8-8. He doesn't have the biggest economy. He needs more gas to support this. Lings do end up getting kind of shut down here. But yeah, I mean, ZEST really can't attack into this. He doesn't have the economy. Trying to focus down onto the carriers. Thankfully, with the help of the Corruptors and the Queens, keeping that interceptor count low is so crucial. But with 3 Void Rays being made at a time, +2 on the way, I mean, DRG about maxed out. I think he actually has this. It still definitely could be lost with the Void Rays, but yeah, ZEST definitely just struggling. He doesn't have the gas. He doesn't have really the mineral income to be able to do anything. Does get a nice little shutdown onto the Lings, but the Lings aren't the problem here. Yep, here come the Queens. End up getting focused down with that prismatic alignment. And that's really going to be the thing here for DRG to have to avoid. And I think DRG does. I mean, he's just waiting for the cooldown to get off. Now he can get in here and just start focusing down onto the Void Rays and basically just one-shotting them at this point. Queen's helping out. More Void Rays coming through. Transfuses are getting pretty good here. Queens do need to back up as they are starting to run out of energy. But yeah, I think DRG does it. ZEST below 70 and GG's.